Live from Atlanta, Georgia. It's the Zach Ballinger Show, where we help you find your direction through passion and purpose. My name is Zach Ballinger. I'm your host. Thank you guys so much for joining us. Two ways you can interact with the show. We are streaming live via YouTube. If you're out there, pop those questions into the comment box. We'll make sure to get to them. You guys can always email me before the show, zach@zachballinger.com. We'll make sure to get to those. We're doing this in 2021. We're inviting a business expert on that owns their own business, who is going to talk to you about small business questions. So if you have these questions throughout the year, always email them to me, and we'll make sure to help you guys out in 2021, finding your passion and finding the business you love to do. Without further ado, Deanna, thanks for joining the show.
Thank you, Zach, for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Well, thanks for joining. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do before we kick it off?
Sure. There's a lot to tell, so I will try to condense it as best as I can. I've been a serial entrepreneur my whole life. I started probably my first business when I was 13, mowing lawns and doing babysitting, cleaning houses. Then I moved into event planning when I was 18, 19, and I also was a personal trainer. I did that, as myself, marketed myself. And then I met my late husband, and we had about 5 businesses together. One really large remanufacturing company. We were in the automotive industry. We did about 20 plus million in sales, had 150 employees. We had 8 warehouses throughout the US and 3 in Canada. We also had an installation arm of that business that I managed. And then we had 3 real estate holding companies that I managed as well. After he passed, I had to restart my life, and I got into fashion design. I created 3 collections. I did have a successful Kickstarter, and I produced inventory for 2 of those collections. I also, in conjunction with that, I launched a skincare line with my mother, which is still thriving to this day. I offer my skincare on Amazon and also in some of the local spas here locally. And I currently also have a podcast. So does that sum it up?
That's a lot.
Oh, yeah. I stay busy. That does not include all my hobbies and my charity work that I do. So yeah, I stay busy.
Well, we're really glad to have you. Thank you for taking the time out of your day to answer some of the questions that the audience may have. Most of the questions did come over via email through zach@zachballinger.com. But one of the first questions is, what business has been your best venture so far out of everything?
The skincare I love, don't get me wrong, but if you're going to look at something like what we do, like what we're doing here right now, the podcast, this is probably been my most favorite. It is not necessarily generating a lot of income, but I've learned it is one of my passions so far, and I've really, really enjoyed this journey.
Gotcha. And then one of the questions that comes in, it says, how do you start a business from home? I want to be able to create an idea and a business that I can operate from home while taking care of my 2 small kids.
Well, I mean, geez, a lot of people are working from home like this last year. So if people can work remotely for their jobs, you can certainly start your business from home. And I think that's where a lot of great ideas start from is, in the garage, or, you're just sitting around watching TV. Yeah, if you have an idea and a passion, I'd say figure out your business plan, figure out your marketing plan, and you just got to pull the trigger and make it happen. I don't necessarily think that I don't really believe in failure. I think that if you fail if you don't actually try, right? So the fashion design, it did not succeed monetarily, but it was a success because I created some great clothes. I was on the runway in Rhode Island. I was a finalist for the Cadillac Design Challenge. So that in itself was a success. But I also learned to brand myself. So you can do anything from anywhere as long as you have a good plan and make up your mind to do that.
Awesome. And then next question that comes in, it says, when do I know when to close a business? It hasn't not been making money for several past months. How do you know when to pull the plug and call it quits to open up your next adventure?
That's hard to do. So when I decided, like, okay, I'm not going to keep throwing good money after bad with the fashion, that was a hard pill to swallow, because you have a lot of ego there. You invested time, you invested money, and I think that you got to just cut the cord. If it's if you're not making any more money and you're putting money into it, you don't want to harm yourself and have to like go down the road of bankruptcy and starve or be homeless. So you have to be smart about making the right decision at the right time. So it might not feel good, but you take those lessons you learn from that business and you can move that into your next one. And even if the next one doesn't necessarily succeed the way you want it to, there are always valuable pieces of wisdom you can pull out of it, or experience that you can pull out of all those ventures.
Yeah, Deanna, just to add a couple of points, I've gotten the privilege to interview a lot of small business owners and many successful business owners over my time. A couple of themes that resonate with me is, you mentioned it and I love it, is that if the only failure you have if you don't try. And so most of the people that have been successful in business, I guarantee you 90 to 95% of them have stories of failure. They have failed at other businesses. I'm telling you, they have taken that experience to launch their new line. I know I was talking to a business expert a few months ago who had failed at 6 different businesses before the 7th one took off. So, it is definitely a challenge, but I'd say, like you said, to this person out there, you set a goal for yourself. Say, look, I'm going to do this. I'm going to work 110%. I'm going to try these 2 things. And if I can't let it to go, you look at your financial situation as well. Say, look, I'm going to give it 6 months.
Yeah.
We're going to give it the full effort. We're not going to leave one stone unturned, and we're going to go for it. And then if you still can't make it past then, it's probably time to shut that off and then begin your new start. Yeah. What would you say about that? Like giving yourself a specific goal.
Sure. And I would also like to add, I totally agree 100%. But, do they need to rebrand? Are you marketing the right way? Are you leveraging all your social media connections? Are you using your network correctly? Are you doing email blasts? Or I don't know what they offer, if it's a service or a product. Are you offering specials or discounts like around those holidays? There are so many tricks and tools to use that they're probably not utilizing or tapping into to maybe help their business be a little bit more successful. And I don't know what that looks like for them, if it's a dollar amount or if it's reaching a number of customers. But there are so many different. It's like, for me, like, rebranding is a very powerful tool. Find out, do they know what their demographic is? Do you know who you are marketing to? Because if you don't know that and you're just shooting stuff out there off the hip, that is probably a reason why it's not doing very well.
Gotcha. Next question is kind of specific question. We can give it a stab, but maybe better off for somebody that comes out of the food market, but me and you can certainly give it a go. So the question comes in, it says, I've been thinking about buying a food truck. It seems like a really great idea. They're popping up all over my locations as we speak. I'm really passionate about cooking. Seems like a great entryway to get into the restaurant business. What is your opinion on this?
I think that's great. Food trucks are totally a niche, and if they have something great to offer, like some crazy taco that has some awesome flavor, that's just also like just managing your costs, making sure that you have your P&L lined up with, because the food industry is very difficult. You've got to buy fresh product like every single day, and then if you're not using it, you got to get rid of it. So your profit just went out the door. So I think for that, you have to know how to scale and make sure you do your research, that when you're starting a food truck, where are you going to be parking that truck to get those customers, so you're using up all of your inventory. I would never want to be in the food industry, and I love to cook too, but that's one thing that I just would not want to manage.
Yeah, and I would add too, I might start out smaller, but not to stomp on your dream. If you want to own a food truck, that's great. But let's try out some of your recipes first. Maybe start a catering business. Get a couple of clients that you can rely on that income first. Maybe go out, market it as a free, let's say it's barbecue. You go to one of these events, you cook your barbecue, you give some of it away, you let people taste it, see how they enjoy it, then network with them and offer them to cater their next event. Hey, can I come into your company and maybe, or for lunch, or is there opportunities, or go door to door offering businesses, or maybe it's virtual. Maybe you're in a state where it's still kind of closed. You may want to go to the site and get some business first, try the cooking, catering, see how it goes. Your barbecue sauce might be you think the best of the east of the Mississippi, but let's test it out at first before we go ahead and buy a food truck and begin that adventure that way.
Totally agree. Yeah.
The next question is, although I love answering food questions because I'm a foodie, so.
Who doesn't like food? Yeah, talk about barbecue. I'm getting hungry. It's lunch.
I know, right? It says the next question is actually a good question. I get this several times. So, Deanna, if you could help us with this, am I better off buying a franchise or starting my own company?
Ooh, okay. So I actually had a business coach reach out to me, and it was kind of the process of trying to figure out, if I would want to get into owning a franchise. I think with a franchise, that they allow you that structure that maybe someone who doesn't have the mind for business would necessarily have. So I guess it would really depend on your experience or your expertise, because I think a good franchise in the right place, the right demographic, could be very, very lucrative, because they do provide that foundation and that structure for you to be an entrepreneur.
Can you explain, some of my audience out there listening are young. What is a franchise?
So a franchise is like, a national group that, so I like, the cryotherapy is one, like, that was something that I was like, ooh, I wouldn't mind having one of those, because then I could get free services. But, McDonald's is a franchise. You can own a McDonald's. You're going to be paying a premium to a corporate because they're so huge. But like that, I mean, those are examples of franchises.
Exactly. Like Subway, or you can think about that. But, and I'll also tell people, before you start the franchise path, those people are pretty good at selling their franchises, because guess what? They make a fee on them. Yeah. And so really do your homework. I talked to one person one time, they wanted to own a dry cleaning franchise. And my question to them is, why wouldn't you just start out small and something your own? Yeah. Like you said, the structure's good for that branding. It kind of depends on what franchise we're talking about. But they can get pretty expensive too. A lot of them require a certain amount of capital to have, SBA loans. So just realize that you're getting into a situation where you may have to have a lot of capital on hand. So you may want to test it out small. I'm big into testing things out small to see. Or maybe you already own a franchise and you this question's derived from that. And so you kind of know what you're doing, but you do pay for that structure as well.
Yeah. I can't believe they offer dry cleaning franchises, because that margin is so small.
Right.
Like, as long as you make any money, you'd be spinning your wheels forever.
You definitely have to own several of them before. And then again, me and you are talking about a lot of more capital that you're going to have a lot more loans, a lot more things like that. So, like you said, you have to look at every angle before you start into it, and just really ask a lot of questions, I think. What setbacks should I anticipate from owning my own business?
Ooh, what setbacks? I mean, I don't, there's going to be a lot of setbacks. And it's going to vary across the board. It really, I think that we are all overcomers, and a setback is just a learning lesson on how you get through it. It's a hurdle that you have to jump. So it really depends on the business. You're going to have setbacks if you're very employee driven. You're going to have employee problems. Finance, you're going to find, finance problems. I mean, there's just so much. You're going to have inventory problems. What if you need. So like we were a manufacturer, we didn't always have all the parts we needed to manufacture our product. Then we had bottlenecks with our testing. So we tested all of our transmissions to go to simulate like in vehicle conditions. And that's where the bottleneck was, because they would test for a very long time and we'd have, tons of product that need to be tested, and we had customer demand. So you're going to have all kinds of setbacks. It's just about how you're going to get over them and through them.
Yeah, you're going to setbacks is every day in business. And so if you're somebody that likes not having to deal with these type of issues, business may not be for you, because I think you would agree, Deanna, setbacks is a very common theme, even everyday life for an entrepreneur.
Oh gosh, yeah. I mean, I thrive on a little bit of that chaos. So you bring me a problem, I'm a problem solver. I want to fix it.
The question comes in: when do I know if it's time to hire my very first employee?
Ooh, so as an entrepreneur, or as anyone that's successful in life, you have to prioritize where your time is best spent. And sometimes your time is not your time is way too valuable to be doing like administrative work. So if you're finding that you're spending way too much time on that and not growing your business, maybe it's time to bring in like a $15 administrative person that can handle all that busy work, because that's tedious. Your time is much more valuable going out, building your customer base, building your business.
Absolutely. And then the question that comes in, it says, do you use Fiverr or any of those type online services for marketing services?
Do I personally? Yes. Yeah. I use all different kinds of marketing tools. I have my media guy that I use that does a lot of work for me, but I also find Fiverr, or however you pronounce it, for small things. I will find maybe like some logo designs, because I'm always looking I do a lot. So, with my charity work, I create a lot of marketing for that. And so I'll use them for some of that off the cuff type of things.
Yeah. And just so you don't know, guys, in case you don't know, Fiverr's a website where you can find independent people bidding on projects, and it usually comes at a cheaper cost for marketing services. So it's definitely good for somebody that's out there, maybe on a small budget. I know some of the bigger companies hire their own digital marketing people or PR agencies, but maybe you're not big enough to do that yet. So that's what we're talking about in this particular example. Let's see. So that ends the questions, but I wanted to ask you, how could people get in touch with you? Let's say that they're interested in either your podcast. What is your podcast about?
So my podcast is called Label Free. It's about, I talk to dynamic individuals that have broken out of the societal standards, like that box that we are kind of like programmed to be in from a young age. And maybe someone that has overcome some kind of struggle, some kind of, trauma, and have really living life on their own terms. And it could pretty much 99% of my guests are entrepreneurs offering some kind of value in their respective field and pieces of wisdom, a lot of coaches. And I mean, I've got so many great resources with my guests. It's just amazing. So that's what my podcast is about. I talk to a wide range of individuals that are offering a lot of great value.
And where can people find this, or can they follow you on social media? Where they could get a hold of you?
I'm everywhere. So yeah, I'm on Instagram, Label Free Podcast. I do have a fitness page because I'm very big into fitness. Deanna Marie _lifestyle. I'm on Facebook. So Deanna.Kempel. I'm on LinkedIn, Deanna Kempel, Kuempel. I'm streaming on all the audio platforms, and I have a YouTube as well for my podcast, which is Label Free Podcast, and then my website, labelfreepodcast.com.
That's awesome, because, I get a lot of questions out there from students. Zach, who do I connect with on LinkedIn? Well, guess what? She just gave you her LinkedIn. So, this show's great. I'm sure yours is too, where you can actually listen to these, and guess what? You're able to create a network, using your own first, and then using some of these guests where they have LinkedIn pages where they're accepting people. And so it's a great opportunity. Thank you for offering us that.
You're welcome. This is a great show. I love it.
Yeah, we appreciate you coming on. We know you're busy as an entrepreneur. You're juggling multiple hats, and we know you're very busy. We appreciate your time, Deanna. This has been so helpful to me and my audience for you coming on and answering some of their questions as they navigate the business world. And I think it's so awesome that you're able to give back and offer some of the things that you have as far as your podcast, as far as social media, where they can also connect with you in a more direct fashion. So thank you so much again for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm happy to help in any way.